he's a bad guy.
The economy is collapsing no matter what. You're saying they have a problem, arrest them and throw them in prison, but you're not saying give them an
because
opportunity.
they're committing crime.
Oh my God.
What?
Absolutely.
Wait, where's
I thought
Matt?
Margaret-
Matt!
No, you've never heard me
What
say
have
that.
you done with
You've never heard me say that. I promise you. What do you think the horrible thing that he's going to do during the next 4 years is?
I had a buddy of mine who was trying to convince me that I should be rooting for Trump. He's like, Trump's one of us. That's what he kept telling me. Trump's one of us. I'm like, ugh.
This was the first. This was the first time.
This was the first time. And that's what he was telling me. He's like, he's a bad guy. He's one of those guys that like goes against the system. And he goes, you're one of those guys that go against the system. He kept trying to, like, he would philosophize it, right? And I couldn't argue with the logic of it, but I'm just like, I'm still opposed. I don't know. I go, yes, I'm probably going against my own values to despise Trump.
I was
but
gonna say, if he'd run as a Democrat, you would have been all for him.
Probably. I don't know.
So sad.
I don't know. My problem is I kind of herald the position of presidency, and I just think it should be reserved for someone of good character. And I just don't think Trump has good character. Now, I'm not gonna say I'm opposed to everything he's done. What we were talking about earlier about the fact that he knows that the justice system is unfair.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like someone with that perspective at the top, I think would be a good thing. But I don't know. I just feel like our president should have good character, good moral character.
Like Biden.
Like Biden. Biden has good moral character.
Biden.
You gotta be kidding me, really?
What is wrong with Biden's character?
You mean you're talking? What are we talking about? The millions of dollars that was laundered through his son's. He's selling paintings for hundreds of thousands of dollars. That it's
That's
all going.
his son.
Oh, stop!
What do you mean, stop?
Stop!
That's his son.
What does his son have?
I asked you about him.
So your son is calling you. Your son, by the way,
We're talking about his character, not his children's
right?
character.
Because that money is all funneled back to Biden,
well, so
or his son is using him as influence peddling, right?
It's his son still.
Right.
You've got to be kidding me.
No. So what about Trump's son?
What about him? Which one's in prison right now, or should be in prison right now because his dad's gonna, or same thing. Let me give you this example. Biden pardoned his son. Okay, clearly broke the law, right? He filled out filled out the paperwork, said he wasn't under the influence of drugs, got a weapon, absolutely smoking rock, the whole thing on camera, everything. Okay, I'm not gonna pardon him. Not gonna pardon him. What does he do? He pardons him. Now, wait a second, and that's fine. You have the right as a president to pardon whoever you want. That's how you feel. It's your son. I get it.
Absolutely.
What about the other 16,000 people that are in prison right now for the same charge?
They're not his son.
So that's your justification? It's just his son?
They're not. They wouldn't be in it.
He's got that. That is his privilege. I would say but I mean, I would say, okay, Matt has more than enough money to cover next month's rent, right? So there's a guy who needs $500. Matt could give him the $500, but it's Matt's money. You could go to Wawa and there's 7 homeless guys and you could take care of all of them and feed them.
Right.
Why not?
But I'm not going to do it because it's my money. Right.
So on that same thing, it's his right as a president. One of the perks of this job, great bathroom, and I get to pardon anybody I want to. Why not pardon my son?
Morally and ethically, you think it's perfectly okay to this entire time have said you are not going to pardon him and then decide to pardon him.
Well,
wait, so are you saying
that wouldn't be the first time a politician has bold-faced lied?
Did you know that Dell had a breach that exposed over 3.9 million customer records, including sensitive personal information? Then Ticketmaster had 560 million records compromised, but the scariest one is national public data. Just a few months ago, they suffered a massive breach, potentially impacting every American. Over 2.9 billion records exposed. Things like full name, address, date of birth, phone numbers, and even social security numbers. Those records didn't just disappear. the hackers release them online for free. So if you think your data is safe, think again. That's why I use Aura, today's sponsor. Aura is an all-in-one digital security platform that monitors your personal data, including your social security number, across billions of data points. They'll alert you if anything sensitive shows up, whether it's on the dark web or in public records. And if the worst happens, Aura has you covered with up to $5 million in identity theft insurance. But it doesn't just stop there. Aura offers you so much more to keep you safe online. Things like real-time breach alerts, a VPN for secure browsing, data broker opt-outs to stop companies from selling your information, and even a password manager to help you create and store strong passwords. Right now, your personal information could be floating around the internet, but you could head to aura.com/Matt and try Aura for 2 weeks free. In just 2 weeks, Aura will tell you if any of your personal data is exposed. You don't want to wait for your data to be leaked to realize you need protection. Do yourself a favor. Go to aura.com/Matt to get your free trial and start protecting what's yours today. Just like Trump, numerous occasions you can find videos where he's lied, right?
Where he's contradicted.
Right. So Biden, same thing.
Yep.
When Biden was running for Congress, did you ever see the thing where he was talking about how he graduated the head of his class? He graduated. He
plagiarized the speech.
Plagiarized the speech, like everything. And they've just got him one after another after another of him doing the same thing. So I think that if you had to say character, I certainly wouldn't say that Biden's character is any better than Trump's character.
I would.
I mean, you would, but I think that the record and the facts would show differently.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Can you think of any flaws in Trump's character?
I don't have enough paper and pen to write down that all the flaws that are in his character.
Do you have enough?
I don't think that there are enough paper and pen to write down all the flaws in every president that has ever been appointed. Or I'm sorry, ever won election. All of them are flawed. You don't get to the top without having some flaws.
But not flagrant flaws. A flagrant flaw would be cheating on your wife when she's pregnant. That would be a flagrant flaw. And even if you were to come to that flaw, at least come and admit that you've cheated on your wife while you were pregnant.
But once again, by your same argument, right, of you just saying, no, there's no proof of this, there's no proof of, right? What's the proof that he cheated on his wife? He said he didn't. Right, he didn't.
So because he said he didn't, he didn't. So you don't think he slept with the porn star?
I'm saying we've got a porn star of upstanding moral values who says, I'm going to say, because I met you one time, I'm going to say you slept with me or you're going to pay me money. So in the middle of an election, he says, fuck it, pay her off to get her to shut up because this is going to hurt me. Any man, true or not true, is going to make that payment.
Well, I see. To me, it's funny.
But you're saying, no. She said it, so it's true.
No, I'm saying
it's true.
Would you ever pay a porn star to say they didn't sleep with you? I'm going to pay you to say you didn't sleep with me.
Hush money?
To say that you didn't sleep with me. Yep. Like, why would I pay you to say you didn't sleep with me?
Because
no.
Yes, hush money. That makes sense.
Unless what? Like I wouldn't pay someone to say they didn't sleep with me unless I slept with them. I wouldn't pay to have someone.
Yeah, I don't think you understand the position.
I would say, who cares if he slept with her?
I agree with that.
I would say that the job of president is this.
But you're saying good moral character.
Right.
But like the job of president is the CEO and manager of the country.
Right.
Trump, to me, is, if anything else, a good businessman. If anything else.
I argue that, but go ahead.
But
How?
I mean, so,
How?
but you know, he's had bankruptcies or whatever that case, which is all a part of business.
Right.
That's all a part of the influx of profit margin, and things go up, things go down.
Elon Musk never had a bankruptcy.
Down. Well, he's on a different
Elon Musk has threatened to have bankruptcy several times. Also, by the way,
it's a different brand of business.
So, Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos never had bankruptcy.
I don't.
No. He's had the same exact bankruptcies that Trump has had. You know what he did? Trump personally has never had a bankruptcy. He can say, I've never had a bankruptcy. He said it many, many times. And the news has actually come out and said, yes, personally, he's never had one. Do you know how many companies Jeff Bezos has founded and started that have gone under?
Yes.
I watched a video of him.
I believe he forced those companies to go under. Okay. I think he purchased them.
I understand what you believe. What I'm saying is if you want, we can break out the video where he says he'll start. And it's funny too, when he does it, he'll name the type of the company that Amazon put, $500 million into. And as soon as he says it, you're like, hey, what happened with that? I do remember that. That was an app and this and that. And guess what? He said, we dumped all this money into it. We did it for 3 years. It tanked. And then he'll name off like 6 of them. We did this,
yes.
400,000 into this company, went under. 300,000 in this one, went under. $500 million in this one, went under. All of those were bankrupt companies started by Jeff Bezos. And if he ran for president, the other side would say, you've claimed bankruptcy 6 times. No, I'm a businessman that has started several businesses that fail. That's what you do. Every businessman has companies that they've started that fail.
Downs,
right.
Ups, downs.
All right. I'll accept that. I'll accept that.
So I think Trump, which in my, you can decide good or bad. Here's the thing. And it is true. Is that he's not even president yet. Everything bad, people are already blaming on him. But he's also, and he's not even president. I saw a video interview the other day where he's sitting there and they're like, well, what about this? He's like, okay, well, I'm not president. Well, what about the economy? This you said you're gonna do this. He's like, I'm not president. I mean, the woman's blaming him. It's some chick from like CNN, and he's like, I'm not president. Yes, but you will be. He's like, yeah, but I'm not. But here's the thing. Already, like all the tariffs and things that he's threatening to do, already these countries are ready to come to the table to renegotiate, and he's not president. The threat of him being president is enough. The threat of him saying, I will shut down the border. I will do this. I will do that. I like all that. I don't want illegal immigrants walking across the border.
It's coming.
I think you come. Well, first of all, I think the economy is collapsing no matter what. I don't care who's in charge. We're in the middle.
Economy's about to collapse?
We're in the middle of a bubble. The real estate is. Do you understand? It's more expensive to own. It is 30% more expensive right now to buy a house than it is to pay your rent. So the fact is that the bubble is huge right now. It's already slowly collapsing. I'm waiting for it to really bust. I think what it is it's a building that's coming down, and it doesn't matter if Trump's president or Kamala is president. It's a matter of how do we have this building come down in the best possible way? Because it's coming down. Do we have a controlled explosion as it comes down so it doesn't take out all the other buildings? Or do we let that fucker just fall over however it's going to fall? I think Trump brings it down in the best possible light so it doesn't take out all the other buildings. I think Kamala would have taken out 4 other buildings on the way down.
I'm glad you feel that way.
I mean, that's just how I feel.
I'm going to give you my opinion on Trump. I think, because I'm not really either or those, I wouldn't have wanted her to be in. This is how I feel about Trump. Trump is a breath of fresh air to me in that he's very opinionated. He's called, a fat bitch. Like sometimes, you have to respond that way. It's refreshing to me, like his whole Rosie O'Donnell beef back in the day. Like I can look at Donald Trump and say, I've seen him call a fat bitch, or get angry at a bitch and call her out her name or something. He seems human to me.
Right.
He's very conspiracy orientated. So that means he's looking at things with a skeptical eye. I like that. Maybe he's a little too left wing with it, but I like that he looks at everything with that skepticism, because I also look at things with skepticism.
Right. Here's the thing with me is that his first presidency, he's not polished. He's absolutely not polished. Yep. He's not a politician. Nope. He says things that come to his mind immediately.
Off the top of his head.
Probably some of them are stupid, without a doubt. Not a lot of thought put into them. And I can think of numerous things that I thought, Jesus, like when what was his name? McCain had been shot down and was like they were like, well, McCain's a war hero, and he's like, well, he got shot down and he was
What, did he get shot in the leg?
No, he said he was
a hero
POW.
because he got
Yeah, but he was
captured.
also a POW for several years.
Right.
And then he was like, yeah, well, I like war heroes that weren't captured. Like he made some offhanded crack, like, okay, I get it. You said it, and probably if you rethought it, you thought, well, probably shouldn't have said that. That was a stupid thing to say. But me being someone who says stupid things all the time, I realize that sometimes you say it, you have a knee-jerk reaction, and you say something stupid. The problem with him is, of course, another character flaw is that he can't back off of it. He can't, because he's a narcissist, he can't then say, you know what, look, that was a dumb thing to say. He doesn't want to admit he's wrong. Narcissists don't want to admit they're wrong. The problem is most narcissists are also end up being CEOs of companies. They're either go to prison.
Narcissists are great leaders.
Right. But if you have a personal relationship with one, it's fucking horrible, right? Like it's a horrible person to be married to or have the children typically don't have great relationships with them. It's hard to have a personal relationship with them because it becomes all about them. But as far as being a leader, they're great leaders. You have to be narcissistic.
Yeah, some of the best leaders.
Here's the thing, though. Have you seen recently, and I watched, this was something Joe Rogan had mentioned, that if you watch his more recent interviews, he's much more polished now. Like now he's not making those same mistakes, saying those same harsh things. He's not being quite as much of kind of a jerk. He's not coming off quite as jerky because I think he learned in his first term and throughout the second term how they're twisting every single thing he says. Yep. And he can't say something. His answers are much, much more polished now. Not perfect. He's not Obama. Okay, and I love
Obama's not perfect.
No, I'm not saying Obama's he's perfect. I said he's polished.
Yes,
he was polished. I don't agree with his politics and some of the things that he did. Right. But if you want to have a politician, Bill Clinton, great politician. Really good. Their answers were polished. They came off very authentic. They didn't come off crass. They didn't say stupid things. My favorite is when Barack Obama, but it's about Osama bin Laden. When Obama went up to the podium and announced that Osama bin Laden had been executed, and then that's compared. I've sent it to you a couple times. It's also, I think he also went up to the podium and he did another one where some Al-Qaeda head of Al-Qaeda was shot and killed.
Where Trump did that.
No, but they compare it. Obama gets up and says, Husseini Husada was executed today through a drone strike. The SEAL Team 6 came in. He explains it very eloquently, like a general would explain it, who's done it 1,000 times. It was flawless the way he does it. You've seen this. I've sent this to you. And then Trump gets up. Then they compare when Trump goes in the same podium, walks up and announces that some Al-Qaeda person had been killed. He's like,
"Yep, we did it."
No. He goes, "Dubaka ukekeda Lobama we killed him.
We got him.
We executed him like a dog.
Dog
they come in the way. They came in the windows. You'd think they'd come in the door. They didn't. They came in the window. They killed him. It was horrible. He died like a dog in the street. I mean, you're going, oh my God, this is horrible. It's horrible. He can't pronounce the name. He can't explain what happened. He says it sounds horrific. Obama makes it sound like surgical precision. No one other than him was killed. It was perfect execution.
That type of stuff to me, when Trump trips over that time,
right.
I like that.
That's what I'm saying. I'm okay with that.
I like
He's
him
not
being
perfect.
It's genuine. It gives more of a genuine. Even when he has those mess ups, and he seems to me like everything he's shooting more from the hip.
Right.
And again, because he's so skeptical about stuff, he doesn't believe poop stinks. Like I can kind of get behind that a little bit. And I disagree with my dad. My dad just is a staunch non-Trump person. So we kind of got this rift. I don't think I'm a Trump person. I just would rather him over quite a few other politicians. One, because he's not a politician. And there's that skepticism. And he's so crash like that. Like he will just give it to you. It might not be the right thing to say.
Right.
He's saying it because it's how he feels.
What about listen, I got one. What about the Trudeau, the thing with Trudeau and Canada?
About the border?
Yeah, no, about the tariffs, where Trudeau said, look, you've got, if you do this, it'll devastate our economy. It's like, well, wait a minute. If Canada can't survive as a country without ripping off the American public for $120 billion a year, he said, then we'll just make you a state. He goes, and you could be the governor.
I heard him say that.
And that has, so he said that, and everybody laughed and joked around, and he goes, and he said, and then Trudeau goes, well, I think we'd be more of a left-leaning state, so I don't know that would work out for you. He said, no, it's okay. We'll split it in half. He said, we'll because you break it up into the different districts. This. He goes, and we'll make it reasonable so that it works for us. And Trudeau's like, and everybody laughed. Have you seen the firestorm? Listen. They got Mr. Happy or Mr. Smiley or whatever his name is from Shark Tank. I forget his name, but he's on CNN. He's on all these shows saying, because he's Canadian. He's like, listen, 50% of Canadians are for this. And Trump's now coming out saying, listen, if they become a state, your taxes would drop down by 60%. You would have no fucking, Canadians are taxed like, you can't believe.
They're socialists. Canada's a socialist country.
It won't be.
I think they said 3 months out of the year, averages you pay taxes.
No, that's more like America. It's more like
almost
50% that you pay in taxes in Canada. You have free healthcare though.
Yes,
I like the idea of free healthcare, bro. I like it.
That's what it is. And you have free public transportation. Right. I have like 3 friends up there that are Canadian that I want to go see when I get off my sentence.
Get on the bus.
Yes.
Yeah. You just, but I mean, right, they shut. What do you mean?
Public transportation is there. There's no cost for public transport. They pay about 70% of their check goes to taxes.
Yeah, it's outrageous.
But
no, it's outrageous.
All public.
It's free.
Yeah, and
so you get so $1,000 you're getting paid this week.
You get 300.
Yeah. And you understand that there are families that are multiple families living in one dwelling because they can't afford there's a bunch of horrible things that are going on too. Like it's horrible.
Well, there's no welfare. So like if like public workers and stuff, that's welfare. So you're like, hey, I can't find a job and I can't support myself. Oh, well, no problem. You're gonna live here and you're gonna work here.
Or they just don't. You don't have to work. I knew a guy. The guy that started our TikTok in Canada, we made a mistake. We started a TikTok. He was amazing and ran it up to like 150,000 followers. But he started it in Canada. Well, that you can't get paid from a Canadian. If you open it in Canada, they don't allow you to get paid. So anyway, but he did it for about 4 or 5 months because he wasn't working. So he gets welfare to pay his rent or whatever during that time. And then when he was a real estate agent. So then suddenly the market picked up and people started selling homes and renting and stuff. So he went back to work and he stopped getting paid. Like they have a system where, and you think, oh, that's great. Well, it's not great. You're living off most people are living off of the system. The system up there it's a failed system. And what Trump is saying is, look, we remove the border, let free enterprise. You'll be taxed the same way Americans are. And then you have the protection of the United States. We can absorb your military, and then imagine how massive the United States would be at that point. Right. So it would be beneficial to everyone. But I think it probably came off maybe a joke, but it's turned into something. And I think that a lot of the things that Trump says and wants to do, closing down the border. That it kills me. These guys are coming across the border. They're giving them. These people have $15,000 on their the little debit cards they're giving them. They're giving them free housing, and you've got veterans that are living in the street. Yep. That they're turning benefits down, but you're giving billions of dollars to immigrants that are coming across the border. Like you can come across. There's a legal way to come across. There's a legal way to come in here.
So
isn't that the people that's getting the benefits, the one that come across legally?
No, illegally. If you walk across, they're giving you a debit card and housing.
I don't understand. So so what are they giving the legal ones? If you actually come legally,
I don't think you can get nothing. You don't get nothing.
So illegally, you get benefits, right? But if you come across and let them know that you're coming across and you're entitled to come across, they're giving you nothing.
You're talking about the wet foot, dry foot stuff.
No, I'm talking about if you go.
He's saying
you go
if you
to the
sneak
American.
in,
I'm saying you go to the American embassy and you say, "Hey, I want to immigrate to the United States." It's like a 3-year waiting process where they review your application and why you should be allowed to come and what your reasoning is and that whole thing. And then you get to come to the United States, and then you get a green card and you're allowed to work. And then eventually, after a couple of years, you have to take a class, and then you become a citizen. It's a hard road to be a United States citizen. Or you can sneak across the border. They'll stop you. They actually stop you. They register you. They give you a debit card, or they tell you, go talk to this guy, go fill out this paperwork. They give them a debit card and they let them go, and you can go wherever you want. You're registered. Even though these people, like, they have nothing, like, oh, my name is, Juan Pablo, whatever, and I don't really have a cell phone or anything. I'm just getting here. Okay, well, contact us, let us know. But they're all undocumented at this point. There's 6 or 7 million illegals that are in this country illegally that are undocumented. They don't know where they are. When you come across, they fill out the paperwork. You're supposed to stay in contact with us, but the truth is you're not going to stay in contact with us. So they're awaiting their eligibility to apply to be a citizen. But the truth is you're just going to come here and we're going to just work and send money back to Mexico and spend money and do whatever we want, set people on fire, rape people, break into houses, whatever we want to do.
Maybe pick oranges.
Right,
but go ahead.
Right. Pick a bunch of oranges, do whatever. And then if I eventually, when it's my turn to apply and I don't apply and they can't find me and they put a warrant out for my arrest, well, then you still have to check. You still have to catch me, which is what I had expected the whole time. So maybe they stay in here for 10 or 15 years. And eventually someone like Trump comes along, hires puts this guy, what's his name, back in charge. And now they're going to scoop them all up and throw them back into Mexico. As soon as Trump was elected, all of these caravans that were coming in from El Salvador and stuff, they stopped. They dispersed. They started going back because they realized they're going to close this fucking thing and we're not going to be able to get in.
Well, who's getting the debit cards? The ones that are
illegally coming in.
The ones that disappear and that don't report.
Yes.
Well, that's a way to track them. The debit card would be a way to.
7 million. Has the government ever done anything efficiently other than when you get off the plane Oklahoma? Other than getting off the plane in Oklahoma, when you walk through that thing and they take the handcuffs off you and give you a bologna sandwich and stick you in that room, I've never, other than the prison system, I really have never seen them do anything really efficiently.
You call that Oklahoma efficient?
Bro, when you got off the plane and they marched us all down there and those guys took those handcuffs off. I've never had handcuffs taken off so fast in my life.
They do that pretty quickly.
Those guys, it was amazing. It was like they weren't even on. It was like they just yanked them right off. It was like, what the hell? Here's your sandwich. Stand over there. It was like,
but then they put us in this big ass fucking room.
And then waited for 4 hours.
Yeah.
It's like, it broke down when I entered the room.
Oh, yeah, okay. But the removing of the handcuffs was efficient.
Yeah,
okay.
That was good.
All right, no problem.
So, yeah, I mean, I think, like, would I like it if Trump was more polished? Yeah, I would like it if he was more polished. I would like it if he didn't say a bunch of stupid things, and make mean tweets and say some horrible thing. I would like that. But that's not, to me, I'm not going to say.
Trump's on Twitter more than me.
Yeah, I'm not going to say you can't run the country. You know what I'm saying? And the other thing is, what bothers me? This is what kills me. Oh, I should mention this. This is good. You're going to love this.
Of course not.
Oh my goodness. So I have a I'm not going to say girl. I shouldn't say girl, right? You can't say girl. It's a woman. I have a woman. She's so little. She's so tiny. I can't even say woman. She's like 5'2". So I have
because of her age, wouldn't it? But go ahead.
She's tiny. So her name is Brittany, and Brittany helped me start my first website. Brittany always helps me come in. Brittany's black, by the way. So Brittany always comes over and she'll help me build a website or help me. Anything I can't figure out, she'll figure out. Like, hey, I want to do this. I know we can do this. She's, oh, yeah, you can go on this site. We can do this. We do that, whatever. And I pay her. And she helped me when I wasn't able to. There was nobody helping me. Well, this was when I was going to the gym, when I was in the halfway house. She helped me build a gym, helped me put up my first book, made a deal with her. You get 10% of the royalties, that kind of stuff. So she's always kind of been helping me. When Trump was elected, she told me she was terrified. And I went, why? And she goes, well, not so much for me, but for my brothers. And I went, why? And she goes, well, because they're black men. And I went, what do you think's going to happen, Brittany? Brittany genuinely felt that the law enforcement was going to be rounding up black men and throwing them in jail. And that they were going to be brutalizing, more so than they already do. They were going to be brutalizing them, that they were going, like, she really thought that it was going to be like open season on blacks. So, which is what, 13-14% of the population. So half that is male. So what, 7% of the population were going to be incarcerated.
Luckily, white females wouldn't allow that to happen.
14%.
The black population in the United States is around 13-14% of the whole population.
Black men are probably about 7 or 8. But luckily, white females won't allow that to happen. But go ahead.
So she believed it. And I remember being like, what, like talking to her, and she was so adamant and concerned about it. Now, of course, Trump became president. That didn't happen. In fact, he signed some laws into he signed some policies in and some laws in that actually let people go. I know lots of guys that got out a year early, 2 years early.
I'm glad you attribute Trump to that, but go ahead.
Oh, he signed it.
That was Obama's thing with the coke.
No, that was Pelosi and what's his name from New Jersey?
Right. It was a policy. I'm sorry. It was a bill that had been circulating for about 12 years.
Yeah.
And guess what? We'd had Democratic presidents the whole time. Obama didn't sign it.
They couldn't get it passed.
Trump signed it.
They couldn't get it passed. But go ahead. I'm glad you attribute that to Trump. I'm not taking it from him.
Anybody who looks into it would.
Yes, he signed it.
Right, he signed it. So he signed it. It went in, and lots of people got let out. He pardoned a lot of people, right? So not nearly as many as Biden, of course.
Or Obama.
Or Obama, no.
Obama pardoned a lot.
Right. So, anyway, moving forward, Trump is president. The economy's booming. Everything's great. He says stupid things every once in a while, whatever. But in my opinion, he was a good president. He does make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. You can't like everybody's policy. So he does fine. He ends up getting beat. Biden comes in
because of COVID.
You think he got beat because of COVID?
Yeah. Even he admits that. He said if the COVID thing hadn't happened.
I think Trump was just so brash.
I think
they just wanted a change.
I think that the media has always been against him.
Yep.
And I also think that he made some mistakes. He said some stupid things. You know, he said some things like he made himself a target. He made it, not that he wasn't a target anyway.
People were just so ready for a change from him because there was just so much.
But anyway, so he loses. And the fact that he didn't admit that he lost bothers me. Okay, I mean, whether you say, and I think that there were issues. I think there were issues in the election. I think there were, but either way,
and January 6th was peaceful touring of the Capitol.
Right, but now you're going to tell me that there were like 10 fucking people killed during that whole thing too.
I'm just saying, it was a peaceful touring of the Capitol.
It was by the FBI. but the point is that I think he lost, and he should have admitted he lost. Either way, lost whether it was correct or not, whether the correct amount were whether there was the vote was padded or it was fraud or it was whatever. You lost. So I think that was
losing doesn't fit well with narcissism.
No. So. But so here's the thing: 4 years go by, and Brittany and I are talking, and she was saying, "Do you think it's good that Trump is?" She was concerned. I don't think he had been elected yet. He was about to. I said, "Oh, I think he's going to win." She goes, "What do you think?" I said, "I think he's going to win. I think he's going to win." She goes, "Really?" And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "That makes me nervous." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Well, it's just being black." And she goes on and on. She's like, "So it worries me." She's on, I really feel like I'm kind of middle of the road between the two parties. And even though I've never heard her say anything other than the standard rhetoric from the left, regardless, here's what she said. She's concerned because it's so hard being black, and that she knows. And I said, well, I had mentioned, I said, I want taxes to go down. I think we're taxed too much. I think that I wouldn't mind being taxed even more if we could get free healthcare or something like that. But everybody, of course, then in the comments, people are going to scream, "Oh, free healthcare is horrible, blah, blah, blah." Yeah, I understand, but I'm pretty healthy, so I'd like to go to the doctor for free. I'm not really worried about, these catastrophic things, because if they happen, then whatever, I'm probably done anyway. Point is that, so as we're talking, I mentioned taxes, and she said, well, yeah, sure, for you. And I was like, what do you mean? And she said, well, I mean, you're already taxed less. And I went, what do you mean? She said, well, I go, what do you mean? That everybody's taxed the same? She said, no. She said, blacks are taxed higher. And I went, what? and she goes, yeah, we're taxed at a higher tax bracket. And I went, Brittany, do you believe that? And she goes, yeah. And I went, you think that if a white man makes $100,000 and a black man makes $100,000 and a white man pays in 25% of his wages to taxes, you think that a black person is paid in more? And she said, yeah, I can show you my mom's W-2. I can show you you can call my mom. I said, no, I'm not going to call your mom, because your mom is obviously one of the people that have told you this. They have you believing this, just like you thought they were going to round up your brothers and throw them in prison. This is obviously something that's going around in your circle. Do you really believe that constitutionally it's acceptable that blacks are charged higher? You're like, is there a black tax? It's like, no, but well, I don't know, but you're, as a black person, you're taxed at a higher bracket. I said, you don't really believe that. I said, I feel like you need to look into that. You really need to look into that.
Blacks have a different perception of stuff that I think is kind of warranted.
They're actually taxed less because depending on your income, they've got the earned income credit and everything. Right. That's started by Ronald Reagan. So she's probably a little bit. That's all perception.
So you think that if you make $100,000 and I make $100,000, both of us are W-2. We both have the same.
We pay the same tax.
We pay the same.
I don't think it's differentiated by your color. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I just think everyone. But that's like one of those myths that go around.
There's tons of those myths. That one's a little bit more extreme.
On both sides.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that,
but it's the perception. Like blacks, our perception of things and stuff, and if you hopped in a car and drove, whatever, your tail lights out, your perception of your tail light out is a different thing than if a black guy, I hop in the car and my tail lights out.
Right.
Like
that's the only thing on my mind.
I believe that. I've never been searched.
The only thing on my mind is getting that tail light.
You heard what he said? He's never been.
I've never been searched. And listen, I drive like a fucking maniac. I've been pulled over. I told you when I was on the run, I got so many tickets as a guy. I'd stolen his identity. I got so many tickets. I had to go to traffic school as him because he was going to lose his license. Mm-hmm. And when I get pulled over, like, I'm never concerned I'm going to get. Like, it doesn't even enter my mind they're going to say, step out of the vehicle. We want to bring the dog.
Because you're Caucasian.
Yeah.
But
I'm not.
Yeah, he doesn't believe.
He doesn't believe that.
He doesn't believe the tiny girl that black people are going to get rounded up.
It's the perception. It's the perception.
Well, I don't think they'll be rounding up black people.
Do you think like a president or like a leader of the country can change the the perception that like law enforcement has of blacks?
Yeah. Nope.
Like, do you think like
no,
do you think like
do.
Like a leader can shift that
because
dynamic?
It's been I think because it's been, I don't want to say that it's been proven. Like if I'm an officer,
Max, just it absolutely, the perception of white people to the police as a perception of black people to police has absolutely been proven. It was, so I can go extreme in both ways. It was extreme enough that Roger Goodell, when George Floyd was killed, immediately got on there and said, you know what? Black people do get treated differently by the police, because like that's how extreme it is that he saw that. But it's just a natural reaction, because when I was a teenager, I was out with a white girl, which is hard to believe. No, I'm just kidding. And I was living in a very nice apartment called Lookout Point. And when I pulled in, the police pulled up and was, hey, boy, do you live here? Blah, blah, blah. And the white girl I was with, her name was Kristen, was going bananas, right? So they've already got me in cuffs, and she's screaming, oh, y'all are doing that because he's black, blah, blah, blah. So the cop looks at me and goes, looks like you understand what's going on. Wow. I'm going to give you a few minutes to kind of explain it to her.
Wow.
And like, that was my cue to say, bitch, if you don't calm down, they're going to kill me.
Right. You're going to be
You
distraught
have
for an hour
you have every right to be upset, but I'm gonna be
on your time.
My life is in your hands.
Well, I have a question. What do you think is going to be horrible about Trump being president?
For me or for everyone?
For you, well, I can say first. What always kills me is that prior to him the election, about a couple weeks beforehand, I noticed all the rhetoric from the left was, this is an absolute threat to democracy. If he wins, we may never have another election.
I fear that.
Okay. So after the election, you know what they were talking about? We need to regroup so that during the next election, we can win and learn what we did wrong.
That's true.
What next election?
Exactly.
You spent weeks beforehand saying there will be no more elections.
True.
So what makes you think that you should even try? There's not going to be one. Like, they were saying anything they had to say to get Kamala in there. And the moment it flipped, like, that's how stupid the American public are. We can lie to you right up to the day of the election, and the day after the election, we can say, okay, next year, well, what do you mean, or next election? Yesterday, you said there will never be another election if he's elected. He was an absolute threat to democracy. So I'm wondering, so what do you think the horrible thing that he's going to do during the next 4 years is?
I think like you said, I think the economy is going to crash.
It's crashing anyway.
Right,
you don't think it's going to crash anyway?
I didn't think it was going to crash anyway, but I think it absolutely is with the tariffs. For me, the benefit for Trump for me is he handled one of my biggest addictions. I no longer watch the news. I was absolutely addicted to the news. I spent every waking hour with the news on my TV. I no longer watch the news, period. Because I'm just like, okay, I'm done. Like, I don't even want to hear, because as you say, there's so many facts and lies, it's hard to differentiate. And they did say that. And now they're like, we're going to regroup in 4 years from now, because I guess that's the hope that they're looking forward to. And we hope that there's an election 4 years from now.
I just hope TikTok isn't banned. That's the only thing that matters to me.
Isn't it the 20th is supposed to go down?
I mean,
is it the 20th? That's
it's
the same
supposed to
day
be.
he's elected.
Yes.
Well, here's what the problem is that Trump is a fan of TikTok.
Yes.
So there's a chance that first of all, it doesn't have to go down at all. Okay, and TikTok's big everywhere. So we're not.
Well, I don't even know how they ban it. How do they keep us from logging into it?
Oh yeah, they can. Yeah, they can shut it down. That if you're coming from they'll know what your IP address is in the United States. IP address is just like the guy that started it in Canada. That they immediately knew. Oh no, that's a Canadian IP address.
Yeah, like we can't get paid on that account because it was created in Tampa or in Canada.
Oh
Right.
wow.
So here's the whole thing. It doesn't have to be shut down. The Chinese just have to release their controlling or their interest in it. Like, they can just sell it to an American company or any other company, a European, anybody. Like, they can figure out how to keep it up.
And they claim that it's doing something with data. Like, what data are they pulling?
Their fear is that they're gathering data on Americans and using it to their advantage. You know, like is that true or not? I don't know, but I haven't seen the data. So I'm not in Congress. I haven't been a part of these committees. I don't know what it is. But it's enough that they got a bill to pass, right or wrong, whatever. So one, we hope that it stays open. And I also hope that all the politics and all the interest in politics dies down over the next few months, because our last 2 months, it's crushed us.
Yeah, it's a big reason why we're doing this topic now. Because when the election happened, all the stuff that was people were watching on YouTube were just election.
It's all election.
So like our interviews, they didn't perform as well, because even me, who's someone who like very rarely cares or anything about politics, I was listening to political videos just to see what people had to say.
Right. Even I was. I'm consuming politics like all the time, and it's
that's
like
all I consume.
Right. So
and I've cut back,
right.
And that's all I consume.
So if somebody was going 50-50 watching podcasts and then political podcasts and then maybe true crime or something else, now it's shifted to 100% politics. So our numbers, we had videos we put out that should have gotten 100,000, 200,000 views. You know, they got 50, 40.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it was.
And the same thing with this week right now, like the holidays. Like this last week was a pretty low week, just because most people just aren't on their phones. You know, they're traveling, Christmas. It's like you're not reaching the full potential. So that's kind of where, like, what is the buzz going to be around January 20th? Like, are people going to be clicking on political videos? Like, that's why this video right now, it'll be titled like Trump's America or something like that. You know what I mean? So,
Well, yeah. I mean, it's wow. That's kind of impressive. I didn't even know that.
Listen, Christmas Day.
our lowest day, maybe of the year.
Yeah, of the year.
Yeah.
All these people with their families. Disgusting.
Disgusting.
I mean, at least put on one of our videos, like
In the background.
Yeah. Well, last
Little
year
Christmas music.
we had Christmas or holidays in prison. We didn't have that episode. this year.
We had a holiday. Remember last year?
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other week. I'm like, how come we didn't do? You can't redo holiday in prison, I guess.
What was that?
We just talked about. Yeah, we talked about
what it's like to be in prison during Christmas.
Yeah. Christmas meals. You didn't.
Oh, Christmas bags.
But
you know, and
Hot
I talked.
chocolate.
And I
taught
taught
state. So
I taught.
Did they give you
several Christmas?
Did they give you Christmas bags?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
I always feel like the state wouldn't do that.
Yeah, we had.
What was normally in them? Listen, the people I talked to in jail said they were small.
We got Salvation Army, kind of this little Salvation Army package, socks. Oh, shampoos, I remember. We got shampoo, conditioner, socks.
They got like decent.
Maybe
Like we
a
got like
boxer.
some potato chips.
Yeah.
And some cookies.
No
this
chips?
whole little
It
package.
wasn't food.
Oh yeah, because they were selling it.
Yeah.
The guys were selling their
Yes,
package.
they buy the bag.
Exotics.
So this year, the Christmas bags, I'm not certain what happened because I talked to multiple people from multiple prisons, but unfortunately, I don't know what they did for sealing them, but they had them sealed with tape. So everyone assumed that they went in the bag and took some stuff out. The rhetoric behind it had me laughing. Everyone was complaining, they didn't give us shit. This is the smallest bag I've ever seen.
They said that every year. This is worse than last year.
They said the bags actually fit inside the slot. They could slide it to them in the slot in the door. That's how, those bags were never that small.
No. Oh, listen, the first year I got there, it came in a big thing.
It was huge.
It was huge. It was matte. The bag was
it like came up to about your thigh. If you sat it on the floor, it came up to about your
what was
thigh.
in it?
You know,
Like
Reese.
food stuff.
Oh God, bro, everything. I mean, they'd give you shower slides. They'd give you like stuff. T-shirts, shower slides, and of course, tons of food, tons of
Chips.
snacks, chips, sausages, all kinds of. And it was stuff that you couldn't get on commissary, so it was exotics. Reese, the first when I got there, the first time I got there was the first year they gave you one bag, which I was thrilled at. Everybody was complaining because the year before they'd given them two bags that size. So they all got two bags. And by the way, they used to go when you would go into, they would tell them, bring your Tupperware because you could buy Tupperware. Bring your Tupperware when they went to the Christmas dinner the holiday meal. They would give them food, and then they would give them extra food to put in their Tupperware. And then they would go back to the unit with the food.
Wow.
Yeah, that didn't happen. When I got there, then none of that was happening.
Oh yeah, it's been downward for feds. It's been downward trend. I'm telling you, they were all going off. One guy told me that he ate the whole bag on the way back from picking. I thought that was hilarious.
That's the trend of all jails, all prisons. Like they're trimming down. When I first started doing my time, like the commissary limits were different, the items were different, bags were bigger, cheaper, soups you could get 5 for $1. Now it's $1
per soup, which is hard to believe.
That's insane. $1 a soup?
$1 a soup, $30 for 30 soups.
Yep.
You used to be able to get 3 soups for $1.
Yep. When we first started,
I remember it was 4.
You get like 2 soups for $1 from the fucking store, man.
Have any of you guys been locked up with anybody who's like been in international prisons that are like way better than the States?
I have.
The private prisons, he said?
No. It's like international, like someone in Norway.
I have. Oh, yeah. I've met people in there.
Every person that I've run across, they're like, oh, this is a hotel.
Yeah, I was going to say, most of them, though,
suite.
most of the ones I've been to are the prisons in the other countries are horrible. Are like, you have no idea. Now, I've also met guys that have been in like Spain.
Yes.
And like in Spain, they actually you actually get
a country club out there.
Yeah, well, and you get like alcohol. I want to
Yes.
say, and I could be wrong. Somebody in the
Prison.
content, right? In prison, they're actually you get so much alcohol like a day. Like you get like a thing like boom a day. You
Are they
get
saying
bread.
that's
You get
medically?
I don't know
it's
why,
good
but
to-
it's maybe I don't know if it's wine or
Some-
some kind of alcohol. It's like there was all kinds of things. You could have your watch. You could have like these guys had all kinds of stuff. It was like
Well,
insane.
in like Mexico prison is you're just behind the wall. You can have everything shipped in. Like people's family can bring you in food, alcohol, whatever.
And if you have money,
Yes.
you can have your own cell. You can have all kinds of. But if you don't have money,
Yeah, you're living
stacked on top of it.
you're living in like buildings. Like there's no cells where they walk through. You're just behind that wall. So it's
You
like
just
our
figure
own.
it out.
Yeah, y'all figure it out. You can sleep wherever and whatever, and y'all figure it out. Y'all police yourselves. Let us know if anybody's dead. We'll come get the body.
So what else do you think? What is your other concern other than the economy with Trump?
Our foreign affairs. I think for some reason Trump's attached to Putin. I think somehow Putin controls him. That's what I believe. What do you want me to say?
Okay. So other than that,
And what's his name from North Korea? Kim Jong-un.
Kim Jong-un.
Yes. And somehow I think they have control and influence over him. And I think some of our secrets he'd be giving to them. So I don't know. I mean, that's how I
believe.
feel.
I think the exact opposite.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
because
do you
he's
have-
so patriotic? He's
Do you
so
think-
American centric.
yeah,
to me.
I think he's concerned about you.
You don't think he praises Putin?
Hey, wait
I
a minute.
think he respects him.
Yeah, I think, and I can see that. I can see him, but then again, I can see praising someone but drawing a hard line.
I think
Yeah.
he respects him
I
in
don't
the
see
light
the hard
of
line.
that he's a powerful alpha male.
I just
And
don't,
I think there's that respect there because he's this leader of this country. I also am a leader of a country in that narcissistic type of thing he has. So I think that there's that respect.
I don't believe it's respect as a human being, as a narcissist, as a male. I think somewhere in some line he's subservient. I really I don't think they're equal.
But in
I
what-
really
in what
believe
way-
Trump thinks he's beneath him. And that
But in what way do you see that?
Yeah.
Well, because
is
he
there-
I
praises-
don't get that impression.
he praises Putin and Putin doesn't praise him. Putin kind of like, I would prefer to have him, and we
But I
work
think
better
it's
together.
more Putin's, the style of their government and the style of what they do, that he's not going to openly, praise him like that. But
So
I think
when-
because they're always together,
So
they
when-
always interact. I do think that there's this mutual.
So when our intelligence was telling him that it was Russia that was spying, and he said, well, I don't see no reason why it would be. And then he kind of came back and said, well, it's just like, I don't believe our intelligence agencies over Putin. I think Putin would not lie to me. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
And
I
that
think-
fits in with the type of person that Trump is, very skeptical.
Well,
And when they say, and he's like, but this is a good guy.
Well,
you
and-
don't just because it's Russia, Mother Russia, or
Well, yeah, and you don't, and see, that's the fear I have of Putin. Putin is the kind of guy that I'm not going to kill you, somebody else is,
I like
and
that. I like that. That happens
I
to be
think
me.
that, I think that Trump's going to go in there, and I think he's going to negotiate some kind of an agreement, like, hey, you guys need to cut the war.
well, I think he's
split-
going to give Ukraine to Putin.
I don't think he's going to give all of Ukraine, but I think he's going to keep I think Putin's going to keep a portion.
I think that's all he wants is a portion.
I think he wanted the whole thing. I think he'd have taken the whole thing. They drove all the way into Kiev. So
They've been fighting all the way into Kiev, but
right. Well, and the first day he went straight for Kiev, so he was going to take the whole country.
only
but-
because he wanted, like, hey, look, I'm going to take what I want.
Right,
You're going to
right.
sit down, and he's like, no.
As of right now, he hasn't got it. The United States just dumping tons of money into this war. Like, that kills me. Like, we're going to give all this money to you guys to fight this war. To me, I think that's just stupid. I'd rather we'll just send the United States in. Well, then we'll be at war with Russia. Well, then we're at war with Russia.
Yeah.
I don't have a fucking problem with that.
Don't
Did you
just
think
finance.
you think Trump's going to go to war with Russia?
No, I don't, because I think Trump is like, look, we have our own problems. We have an economy that's failing. We need to go. You guys need to fix this, and you have to fix it because we're going to cut the money off. So you guys will draw this line, And if you draw that line, we'll make sure it's maintained. So if you pass the line, we're just gonna send American troops in. And then it's going to be so bad because the truth is that if North Carolina and South Carolina's National Guard could take out fucking the Soviet, or could take out Russia.
The Soviet army is garbage.
It's horrible.
So, I'm glad that got exposed.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And if it had been us,
like,
he'd be
it's the second.
No, it's
serious?
Garbage.
It's horrible.
Probably China's
in the
army
80s,
is the second.
China's army.
I think I think he's going to fix that. I think he's going.
I don't think that's fixing.
Well,
so invading another country is not
the optimal. So the optimal solution is Russia withdraws back into Russia, Ukraine gets Ukraine, and Russia pays them some kind of reparations. That's the optimal solution. That's not happening. So the other option is we stop the fighting because we're not sending you any more money because we should be paying. With all that money, we could have health care. Like, what are we doing? Like, we're not sending you any more money.
We're definitely not getting health. We're not getting health care.
I know that. That bothers me. But I'm saying, why are we going to send all of this money here? And look, I think Russia's wrong. You don't get to invade other countries. But he has invaded. Like, there's never any perfect solution. So let's say the best solution the best result that ever probably occurred, ever, was World War II. Everybody got together and fought Hitler all the way back to extinction. And then we split their country up. That sounds fair to me. That sounds fair. Well, yeah, but no, we're our own country. Fuck you. You guys keep starting wars. Go fuck yourself. We're splitting your country up. That's the optimal solution. The problem is...
Well, that had happened to the Soviet Union. And that's what Putin is trying to undo.
No, that didn't happen. These countries broke off. And they allowed them to break off, and they started their own. That was perestroika. They allowed these countries to become. First of all, Soviet Union gobbled these countries up.
Correct.
And then finally, when the Soviet Union collapsed, they broke off and become their own countries again. Putin's trying to rebuild the Russian Empire,
the USSR.
Not the SSR. He's trying to the Russian Empire, which is prior to the Soviet Union. He's trying to take back the gems of Europe. He doesn't want like
Kyiv,
Tajikistan, some country that's fucking bankrupt, and he's not interested in that. He wants the jewels. There's oil.
Well, and there's a nuclear plant.
Right. He wants that's what I want. These are the things that I want.
That I can exploit and hold everybody's in the world's nuts because I got their power, their oil.
But here's the problem is that the other European countries aren't holding their weight. So it's like all of us get together and
they don't have the resources.
They do have the resources. We don't have the resources. You have any idea what the national debt is? It's fucking outrageous. It's ballooning up. But our money is getting worth less and less every single day.
But our
commercial value.
Yes, thank you. Our commercial of what we buy and purchase is more. It's like by us being in debt is what's fueling the rest of the world. By us being the one to go, hey, we'll just make money out of nothing.
And that's the premise of the United States. Debt generates income.
Yes.
So even in...
That's what we're living in.
Even in our recessive times, the income, the commercial beast that the United States is, we will never go belly up. There are so many different countries
They'll prop us
that are
up.
tied.
Yeah, but you
financially
understand all of
to
that
us.
is what's causing inflation.
Somebody
money.
But the debt generates the income. Like the United States as a commercial entity.
But these other countries are the ones who are buying up our debt. It's all inflated. You can't just print money.
But
are we doing that?
We're
printing money. Yeah, you're just printing money. That's what I'm saying.
You can't just do it.
No, because eventually it collapses. You'll have hyperinflation at some point. And we don't produce anything. We're not producing anything. That's
we're doing oil now.
That's not. We're producing. We're pumping it out of the ground. You think oil's enough to sustain the entire United States?
No,
we don't manufacture anything. Is what I'm saying. So what I'm saying, you're right. It's we manufacture food. You're right. So we're not going to go. Well, we may go hungry, but we're not going hungry right now. But the point is like you put in these tariffs to other countries. And you say, hey, guess what? In China, we're putting in tariffs, and you can build those cars in the United States and sell in the United States, or you ship them over here, then you have to pay higher prices. So what happens, or tariffs. So what happens is manufacturers here start building, because now guess what? It's not worth it to buy from the Chinese. So you start your own manufacturing and you become a manufacturing hub. We were the manufacturing hub in the 50s, 60s, 70s. You know, in the 80s, it started
they
shifting.
figured out
how to make it cheaper.
They're paying employees in India $1 an hour.
Well, we just saw it on the video.
Right. But, and what I'm
an
saying
hour.
is you put tariffs on, look, it's going to hurt the other countries more than it's going to initially hurt us. But once the manufacturing props up, you'll have workers again that are making $50 an hour, $60 an hour. Like these guys that work in these factories now don't make that. They can't make that.
I think with the union.
Okay, you're right. So the 12,000 workers that work now, I'm talking about the 400,000 workers that all those jobs went over, or the million workers that went to China. And then those
businesses
jobs
wouldn't be able to afford bringing those jobs here, because the cost of running a huge Nike factory over there has to be the
minuscule.
Difference.
Do you have
is
any idea
minuscule.
how
But
much?
so Matt's thinking the tariff
profit there is in Nike. You're right. They're making them over there for
So,
$4.50.
but you want to shave down profit margins for patriotism.
For patriotism, yes.
Patriotism.
I want to have jobs in America. I think
But
you worry about
okay,
jobs.
so
You worry
you're-
about Americans.
But your heart and the financial prowess of this country is two different things. Like if I'm a business owner, and I'm as American as the next, and I love this country and its opportunities. But if I had a business, if I'm starting a business, I'm already thinking about India,
right. So
Africa,
right.
so wherever the labor's cheap.
Right. So will you put tariffs on those? And
Right.
so you know what?
And so the person who's buying it just pays the tariff. So you're saying, look, I manufactured this shoe.
Two things
It
happen.
cost me $2 to manufacture it, and then I sell it in America for $10. So I make an $8 profit, right? And you're going, well, I'm gonna put a tariff on that of $10. Okay, so now I sell it for $20 and make an $8 profit.
So two things happen. One, the fact that those shoes aren't made here
Right.
are because is because they make them cheaper over there. But
Yeah.
now there's a tariff. So now we can make them there. We can make them here now for the same price. So they lose those jobs and we get those jobs. It takes a little bit to build up the manufacturing, but we get those jobs.
Why would you put those restrictions?
And
on
also, by the
business?
way,
He's saying now they can make
I'm
it
saying
here.
it because we get to hire American workers to do it. And I'm saying that one, those companies that are buying from China, those tariffs, by the way, those tariffs those tariffs that people are paying, if they say no, fuck that, we're going to keep those jobs in China and we'll just pass those tariffs on, those fees on to the American public. Well, the government gets that money. So that helps. So two, we also, if they keep them there, maybe you don't buy those products there anymore. And three, or maybe they say, you know what, let's go ahead and manufacture it here, and we won't have as much of a profit margin here, because people aren't going to spend that extra money. They're not going to spend $200 for a pair of Nikes when they were buying them from China for. Don't get with the. If you want to break out the actual dollar amount of 500 or 1,000 or whatever, we can do that. But in the end, if you double the prices, the demand goes down. So people don't buy as many. That's just the facts. So
What did I do to the economy?
What does it do to the economy?
So we're going to do the tariffs. It's going to double the prices. The demand goes down. What does that do to the economy?
Well, if to make those, if it was 100,000 employees in China selling 100,000 shoes, and they put tariffs on them, and we say, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go ahead and manufacture those here, okay? And we're going to double the price. And so what does it do? Let's say it cuts the demand in half. We still got 50,000 new jobs in America. That's what it did. Is the demand less? Yes, but we got 50,000 jobs. We didn't have 50,000.
There's a process
there.
That transition is a process.
Right. Maybe it's 6 months. Maybe it's a year. But in a year, guess what? How long do you think it takes to set up a
in the
factory?
all right. So I want to talk about in the meantime. So let's just say a year. In the meantime, what does that do to the economy?
So for 6 months, I don't get new Nike. Oh my God. I don't get a new iPhone that they're making for $30 and selling for $1,000.
What is the percentage you think of foreign made goods or parts in goods?
Tons. But he's not talking about putting tariffs on everybody. He's talking about China. He's threatening. He's threatening Canada. He's threatening. He hasn't put tariffs on anybody. He's not even president. He's threatening, and just by the threat alone, and knowing he's crazy enough to do it, you know what happens? They go, wait a minute. Let's talk about this. Let's renegotiate NAFTA. Let's renegotiate these types of deals that weren't.
But what's
exactly
the renegotiation? The end goal is more jobs in America and less jobs overseas. So what would be
the end goal is more jobs in America. I don't care about overseas.
All right, so more jobs in America, less jobs overseas. So the negotiation would be higher prices.
Temporarily,
okay.
Higher prices.
Temporary.
For
period. It costs more to manufacture.
Okay, let's assume that these companies. Do you know how much profit do you think is on an iPhone?
I mean, in
80%.
what aspect?
80%.
The cost of the phone?
Yeah.
The equipment?
What their price point is? Do they make if an iPhone costs $800, do they charge $1,000?
I think they profit 80%.
I think they profit like $900.
It's 100% profit. So if the iPhone costs them, by the time they ship it over here, they build it, they ship it over here, and it's $500. You know what they sell it for? $1,000. They double it.
It's called business.
Yeah, I understand, but you know what else is business? Is that if you want to make money on volume instead of just jacking your prices up, then you don't make 100% profit. Like most companies don't. Most companies, like, do you know what's a better phone than an iPhone?
Most of them.
Yeah, but they don't have 100% profit. So you know what iPhone would do is they drop their profit a little bit. You drop your profit a little bit. And let's say you say, oh, you don't. Okay, well then guess what? Then let's say you sell 50% less iPhones. I'm okay with 50% off. I've still got mine. I don't buy a new one every year. What is
13.
This? It's not even. It's like a 12 or something.
No, it's a 13.
Is it?
Yes.
What are they at now?
16.
Yeah, I don't have a 16. This thing's great.
Yeah, I have an 11 and a 13.
This thing's great. I think I have 11. I think I have the same phone as yours.
So it sounds to me,
and you get 50,000
like
more jobs.
But what you're saying is starting to become less American.
No,
like
it's more
restrictions.
You're concerned,
but you're putting restrictions.
You're concerned
on
about
me as a business. What if I want to take my business and take it over there?
Take it over there, but when if you build the manufacturing over there and you don't hire, you're telling me you think it's American to hire Chinese to build to sell to America?
Capitalism.
It's capitalism.
I think you can still do that. You can do that
because it's my business.
You can do that. We're just going to put tariffs on it.
Okay.
So and that's
and what
American.
I'm saying, and that's fine. So what I'm saying is more jobs means that more jobs in America mean that more Americans have money to buy things in America, manufactured by Americans. That's what it means. So I don't see how that's un-American. I'm concerned about having Americans have jobs.
You're saying more manufacturing jobs.
More manufacturing.
Because
that's everything. If you
we're at a record unemployment right now. We're at a low. We're at a low.
You just told me the economy was doing great. You just told me the economy is great.
As I said, we're at a record unemployment.
The economy is stable.
Low. Our unemployment is low.
It's going up.
Okay.
It's listen, prices when the housing bubble collapsed.
So you're saying more manufacturing jobs is what you're saying.
Yes.
Not necessarily more jobs, just more manufacturing jobs. That's what you're saying.
I'm saying more jobs in general. I think more manufacturing jobs produces more jobs pretty much everywhere.
Well, true. But if you're at a record unemployment right now, you know what I'm saying? If you're at a low unemployment right now.
We're also just printing money.
Correct.
That's not I don't understand that you don't understand you can't just keep printing money. You just can't.
I understand.
That's what happened. That's what happened in, after World War I in Germany. I mean, that's practically what started the Second World War, is that they got to a point where they weren't able to pay their bills, so they just started printing money. And it worked great for a while. And then eventually the money, the hyperinflation, the money became worth nothing.
They're not America. So, I mean, we operated different.
Go ahead. You can finish the thought.
We've been doing this since the
inception of the United States.
No,
we've been
because before we had
commercialized.
gold in Fort Knox.
Yeah, the gold. We were on the gold standard until Nixon.
Yeah.
And then Nixon took
that's
us
the
off the gold
70s.
standard,
So that's like,
which was fucking stupid, but whatever. That's
I mean, it's the kind of to go off of, and then they sold the gold, by the way, but it's to kind of go off of the fact that we are the heartbeat that fuels the pumps the blood of economy through the entire world, or a majority of the world.
right.
You know, and other countries operate like, even states don't have that. They have to make and balance their budget. Other countries operate within the limits of what they can produce and sell. But the fact that we are one of their main exports, right? We are the heartbeat of them. Your proposal is we're going to stop being the heartbeat of the world, and we're going to make sure we pump and do this all for ourselves, and we're going to kind of remove the jobs from the rest of you guys. But we owe debt
to stay on top.
Right.
Because right now, all these other countries, their economies, you're like, oh, India's economy is great. Right. At our expense. Oh,
Yes.
China's economy is great. At our expense.
Yes.
Right. Fuck China.
But
fuck India.
The debt that we owe would probably prevent us from saying, yeah, sure, by us doing this, we're laying off tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people in your country. So your
I don't care about Biden. You don't elect a president to look out for China.
No, we're
unless it's Biden.
But
He's concerned about everybody else except for the American citizens. That's what I'm concerned about, American citizens.
And I'm telling you, the way it's working now is working. You can't change. Tariffs is not going to change our dependency on these other countries for parts, food, and products.
It will eventually. It will. It's never going to be 100%.
Two things that worries me about that. The two things. First of all, the impact on other countries and the fact that we owe them other countries like China. China buys most of our debt, and in turn, we buy most of our products from them. Right. But second thing is you're exporting a lot of the labor that would be running these manufacturing plants. Mexicans and illegal immigrants, a majority. Now, I'm not going to say that none of them are criminals, because some of them are transporting drugs in, and that's a whole different story. And they're drug dealers. They put down drug dealers, but our insatiable appetite for drugs is what makes us so profitable. The one thing you're talking about on tariff-wise doesn't even include the frigging our consumption of dope. But
well, I mean, I think that drugs should be legalized.
Oh, no, I don't. That'd be horrible.
No,
weed is legalized.
Yeah, you're not smoking a joint and being like, "Well, let's go rob a bank."
Wait a minute. I think so. Opiates, right?
They were legalized,
right? But right now, you can get opiates. People get them anyway. Like they're getting them anyway.
You get a prescription and
right, but people buy them anyway. They can buy them anyway. What I'm saying is that look, you could go with this. You could go with the model of, hey, let's do this. Let's go ahead and reduce the population, the incarcerated population, by half. Let's put these guys up. I didn't deserve 26 years. You could have given me 5 or 6 years or 10 years, and I would have done 2 or 3 years and been out and gone to a halfway house, put me on a monitor. That means that they were willing to spend about $600,000 on me. $500,000 to incarcerate me. That wasn't going to help society. So you give me, so if you reduce that population and you say, look, you know what we're going to do? We're going to take Zach, and we're going to put him on an ankle monitor, and we're going to send him home. He can go get a job, and he's got to pay $100 a month for the monitoring of the ankle thing. Or Zach, do you want to stay in prison for another 10 years? No, I'd rather do that, of course. So he goes out. So you can easily reduce the prison population by half. But guess what? There's still that money. So we take that money and we go ahead and we take that money and you dump that into education. Then you go ahead and you tax, you make drugs, maybe not necessarily legal, do like a medical marijuana or whatever you want to do, where they can buy some kind of opiate or something, some types of drugs, right? Like a lot of these drugs they have been legal at times, right? What about, you used to be able to buy, what were they, Mother's Little Helpers? It was basically speed. Like most countries, a lot of countries, you could buy speed. Like make these things available. And then the money that generates, take a portion of that money and put it into free rehabs. If you have a problem, we'll put you in free rehab for 30 days. Maybe 60, maybe 90.
They're not going to go.
Okay, well, they're going to, here's the thing. They are going to go if they want to get off. They really want to get off.
They don't want to get off.
Right, exactly. But here's the whole thing. You can
Drugs are free.
No, they're not free. I didn't say free. What I'm saying is that
make them available.
Make them cheap. Make them cheap and safe. Like right now, what is it? Finney has been prescribed and been used for decades. It's safe. It's killing everybody. It is killing everybody because of what they're doing with it. They're not cutting it. They're sticking into all these different types.
They will
People
abuse.
die.
Every single addict will abuse it. If you make it free and readily available, they're not free, but if now they can go to the corner store or whatever and purchase it, their tolerance is going to build up on this good, clean, safe drug, and then they'll be abusing that, and they'll be overdosing off of whatever they can get.
Right. Well, it's not like we're losing patriots here. They had an opportunity.
Ouch.
Well, wait a minute. Wait, they had an opportunity. If they wanted to get off, they do. Some people, look, no offense, some people that's how they want to live their life.
Yep.
Now, they might say, well, I'm hooked on drugs. Great, we can send you this rehab. Well, they drop out in 3 days or a week or whatever. If you have quality rehabs they can go to, and they just don't want to. Some people simply want to be drug addicts.
Yep.
That's all they want to do.
You do know statistically, Matt, that white people are more on drugs than blacks.
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay,
I'm saying give my people someplace to go for free so they can get off it. And you know what? If they don't want to get off it and they want to end up overdosing or be a professional dope head, that's fine because probably they're going to get it so cheap they don't have to rob to do it. They could probably get some kind of manual labor job. Let's face it, most drywallers, painters, roofers are on some kind of drug, alcohol, some kind of dope.
Yes.
You can drywall a house and lay carpet and put roofs on
crank
and be on meth. So only this time you don't have to pay a ton with it, and it's safe. It's measured and it's safe, and you can be a functional addict. And if it's someday you want to get clean, we have a place for you to get clean, and you don't have to spend a whole bunch of time in prison because it doesn't help you.
I don't like
that. That's the reason.
I don't like how Amsterdam looks.
Have you been to Amsterdam?
Not visually,
yeah,
but
I've
like
been.
not free drugs.
It's beautiful.
But like you can line up your drugs and everything. Beautiful, but people have a problem. And that addiction shouldn't be capitalized on.
Wait a
monetized.
Second. So you're saying they have a problem, arrest them and throw them in prison, but you're not saying give them an opportunity.
Because they're committing crimes.
What I'm saying, you're saying that don't give them an opportunity to go to a 60-day rehab?
But they do all the time.
They
literally focus dorm after dorm after dorm where cats keep come in and go out. And when they come in, you got a drug charge. Drug program.
You know, they
go in the drug program, they clean up, they gain weight, they slick back the hair, they look fantastic, they leave, and they give the drugs something to eat on because they've gained weight and such that they're good and clean until they can get a hit.
So what you're saying right now, what I'm hearing is that the system right now is not working.
It's not working because they focus on the seller of the. So they're basically is let's punish the people who are providing the drugs, right? And which is usually marginalized communities because what happens is they give the drugs to the marginalized. The line to the streets is through the marginalized communities because if you notice, they want help for people on Finney. They went after the big prescription drug companies over the people who were on opioids and addicted to opioids. Yeah, so they're like, well, let's just punish the people who are providing it to them. I mean, for a brief moment, they were arresting doctors.
Yeah, they were profiting. That was a huge thing.
For a brief moment,
have 5-6 scripts.
You guys have a great ability at pointing out what the problem is. What's the solution?
The solution definitely isn't going to be from the trickle down up. Like, let's provide help for such and such. Because the fact of the matter is, when you go in Tampa, on Nebraska, all the shelters and stuff have beds available. And some of the Cove and all these drug programs, although you have to get on a waiting list and all that, those places are available. It's the want. And just because I'm addicted to a drug, that doesn't make you go rob or do this or do that.
Okay, once again, so what's the solution?
It would be legalizing drugs because they've legalized marijuana and made it a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Right, but that's not something that Cyx is in favor of.
Well, I mean,
because people are profiting off of people's addiction.
His answer leads to the legalization.
To weed. They've proven that marijuana is a non-addictive,
not physically addictive. I know plenty of people who literally smoke all day long
because they enjoy it.
Right,
they enjoy that.
I know lots
addictive.
of guys that do powder that they
I
just like the
smoke weed.
smell of it.
I
mean, come on,
often.
man.
I smoke, but like right now that I'm not thinking. Damn, I am thinking I could use a joint.
Yeah, after this argument,
but I'm not thinking like, okay, we got it's not physically addictive like that.
Yeah. Okay. I said physically addictive, but mentally it's addictive. You're constantly
you chase it. You enjoy it.
Right. So
I love to ride a motorcycle. I'm always thinking about it, but I'm not like going
still
through the withdrawals.
So there's some drugs you'd be okay with legalizing, or is it just it's just pot?
I like how it is now. Like, don't legalize and sell brown.
They do
Don't legalize and sell.
Opioids are
Well, you know what I mean. Like, let's not have like Cure Leaf. Let's not have Dope Dash, and you
Dope
can
Dash.
Which, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I hear where you're coming from. That would be a huge influx of taxable monies, but you're profiting off of the blood of children. Like you're,
oh my God!
You're profiting off of. You're profiting off of.
Who's profiting off it now?
Who? The dealers, the immoral guys that are.
So what I'm saying is, let's go ahead and let Pfizer and the other companies manufacture. You can get yourself a little bottle and you can take a little pill, and it's measured and it's cheap and it's inexpensive and they're taxed. And we get rid of the dealers profiting off it because somebody's profiting off it. Oh, wait, is it the cartels? Is it the local dealer? Is it everybody down the chain? They're all profiting. So someone's profiting now. I'm saying, let's tax it. Let's make it safe.
If you can't beat them, join them.
I am.
We'll become dope dealers, but we'll give you better dope, cheaper.
True.
And we can tax it.
Absolutely
and
true.
fix the roads.
We can tax it and
because
possibly,
we can't beat you.
Well, and we can give you a safe drug rehab to go to if you want to change. I'm not saying you have to, but if you want to. And I don't mean, by the way, the drug when they send you to a drug program in the state, they are garbage. They look like garbage. I'm talking about a nice, clean facility. You get your latte in between class, run by professionals, like a decent place. Like
there's a couple of decent ones.
I don't see that as a solution. I just see that
there's no good answer.
We're going to profit off of
there's no good answer.
What we can't fix.
Did you ever see the movie Argo?
I know exactly what you're talking about. I didn't see it.
So there's a scene in Argo where they're trying to get the hostages. Well, it's not even the hostages. It's a group of Americans that have escaped to the Canadian embassy. So I want to say there's 5 people there. I could be wrong. And the CIA is trying to come up with a plan to get them out of Iran. And when they present the plan, he says, here's the plan we think we should go with. And the director says, so you think this is a good plan? And he says, no, there are no good plans. There's nothing but bad plans. But this is the best bad plan you have. He goes, yes, out of all the bad plans, this is the best bad plan we have. There are no solutions. People are going to use drugs. I'm saying, what is the safest way we can do it so that we can collect the taxes and help these people and help society?
I think
there's growing pains.
We would look horrible as a country.
In Oregon,
they've tried morals, face value.
In Oregon,
said that we have
dealers.
horrible ethics and moral problems.
They've tried it. A couple of states have tried to have legal zones where people can go and actually use drugs.
Seattle.
Hey, I have a question for you. What would happen to the cartel if Pfizer started making a form of ice, or Pfizer started making these products? Nothing. You don't think that cartels?
There has been a huge influx of marijuana shops and cure leaves and all that. People are still selling pot just fine.
You think that it wouldn't harm the cartels at all?
I mean, there obviously there would be a shift in, but they're still selling.
I can buy cartel ice on the street for $100, or I can buy the same amount for $30.
It's never cheaper. The cure leaf that they sell, and you go in cure, and they've got 7 different strands, 20 different strands. It's the same price as Tyrone.
Very expensive.
And then when you want the good stuff, it's
very
more expensive than the
very
plug.
expensive.
Well, so what if you could buy it for instead of $100, it was $50? What if you could?
Big business, profitable America is not gonna throw out some cheap good dope.
Right, but what if you could?
Then of course I would prefer this option over that option. But as businessmen, just like Cure Leaf or whoever owns it, as businessmen, you're not gonna give this product when you know you can double that price.
So
just like with the pot.
So it's not the plan that bothers you. It's just the cost is the real issue.
Nope, it's the plan. I wouldn't want to legalize drugs as a thing with the face of my country. I don't want my country to look like
we're already
legalized.
doing it.
I'm not talking about the perks and all of that. That's pharmaceutical stuff.
I'm talking about pharmaceutical grade methamphetamine, pharmaceutical grade brown. So, which by the way, all of these are like oxys, and these are all
some of it's synthetic.
There's a difference
synthetics
between,
or whatever, but
there's
all
a
of them are
difference
there.
between selling drugs,
but they're
and
already
then
being
giving
sold
for a medical purpose. There's a difference to me.
Yeah, I think that line changes constantly.
It's blurred.
It's constantly changing because used to be 20 years ago, if you walked in to look, the first time that I walked in, I had a prescription for Xanax. Okay, you know what I told them, and this is true. I told them I had had a panic attack, and I explained what had happened, and then he said, "Oh man," he said, "You need to." I said, "Now I said my dad told me that he had a prescription for Xanax, and that I probably needed a prescription for Xanax." And he goes, "Yeah, of course." And he wrote me a prescription. This is just the local general practitioner wrote me a
That's how they all do.
Right. Well, they don't now, because I got out of prison and I went to go get a prescription for Xanax, and I went to 3 different doctors, and each one of them cost me $250 just to walk in the door and be told. No.
Because they're abusing it.
They were.
They were abusing it back when I got it. So the point is what happened was the line between what was medically necessary, and I never abused it, by the way. They were like, take it, you can take it once a day, whenever you feel you have a panic attack, if you can't sleep. If you sleep hot at night, you know how disruptive that can be. Whether you're having trouble falling asleep, you're waking up sweating in the middle of the night, or all of the above. That's where Ghost Bed can help. As the makers of the coolest beds in the world, Ghost Bed is your go-to for cooling mattresses, cooling pillows, and cooling bedding. From their signature Ghost Ice fabric to patented technology that adjusts to your body's temperature, every Ghost Bed mattress is designed with cooling in mind. So whether you want a plusher mattress that cushions your shoulders and hips, or a firm option with exceptional support, your Ghost Bed will keep you cool and comfortable all night long. When you purchase a Ghost Bed mattress, your comfort is guaranteed. You can try out your mattress for 101 nights, risk-free, to make sure it's the right fit for you. Plus, they offer free shipping, and most items are shipped within 24 hours. If you're not sure which Ghost Bed is right for you, check out their mattress quiz. You'll answer a few questions and get a personalized recommendation. Even better, our listeners can get 50% off site-wide for a limited time. Just visit ghostbed.com/Cox and use the code COX at checkout. Again, that's ghostbed.com/Cox with the code COX at the checkout to save a whopping 50% off site-wide. They had all these things I could do. I took that probably 2 pills a month. I almost never took it. And I had plenty of stress. Or I would break it in half. Like if I had to go in public, I would take one because I was going to be around 400 people and I got very anxious, so I would take it. So I didn't abuse it. But I'm saying that medical line is constantly moving on what's medically necessary and what's not necessary. What I'm saying is, and I don't even think that a doctor should be prescribing it. I think you can go to like a head shop. So I mean, because
the clerk.
right, yeah. I mean, like I said, I think you tax it. I think you redump the money, and I think if you had to do some kind of price check, where you do a price cap, where you say this is what we charge. Why? Because the street values this, and we're trying to run the cartels out of business. That's what I think happens. That is it a good solution? No, it's a horrible solution. Is it immoral? I don't think it's any more moral than what's happening right now.
Well,
I think taking some drug addict that's buying and selling, or even selling just to get his own enough money to feed his habit, and you send him to jail for 15 years because he brought a 22 that doesn't even work to a $15 to sell a $15 crock, and you send him to prison for 15 years. Is 15? That's life. Moral?
Yeah,
is that immoral?
Yeah, I do think. I believe you in that. I'm with you, and I'm even with you with the legalize, get the tax the money. I see exactly where you're coming from. I just think it's a bad solution.
But that's what he's saying.
There's no good solution.
Right.
It's lesser of
the bad. It's because like there's no stopping it.
And could you imagine what you could do with the DEA? The DE who? We don't even need
you
the
don't
DEA.
Even need it. Yeah.
You can take that. You can take those 12,000. I don't know how many, by the way. Somebody is going to fact check.
I think they all take bounce, but
you take that 12,000 person army
agency,
and you just say, we're done with you. We don't need you anymore. I love Trump's thing where he said the alcohol, tobacco, and fire ATF. He goes. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, he said, isn't alcohol legal? Aren't firearms legal? Isn't tobacco legal? Why do we have an ATF?
Because
can't we take those 5,000 fucking guys and get rid of them?
They enforce abuses of alcohol, tobacco, and firearms.
Dude, yeah, but really, no, they don't. It's a police force. It's not like they're going. It's not like they're going to all of the like. If you want to have them go to the gun stores and check records, okay, but they're not. They're setting up stings. They're doing undercover missions. I don't need you to do undercover missions. We don't need you to do all that. I need you to go to make sure that these guys are getting the right proper verification when someone applies to buy a gun. I need someone to the police. By the way, if you get pulled over and you're a convicted felon in charge of a firearm, guess what? That's a local crime. I don't need a special ATF wing to come in and set up a huge thing. I think the local cop that pulls you over and searches your car because he smells marijuana and finds a gun, I think that's good. We can enforce that. I don't need the ATF.
I agree with that. Do you know back in like around 2010-ish, you're right. They were setting up stings.
Bro, they were horrible. Did you remember the kid?
Yes, they did that to multiple. They have some kid. They set up a fake robbery. Like, hey, we're gonna rob Cyx. They were just out there setting up kids, teenagers, to commit robberies, right. So and they were shooting at them.
They were reverse stings, by the way. They were reverse stings, and the one that busted it was the kid that they went to his brother. And they said to his brother, we know a guy, they went to a kid and they said, listen, this kid never had a job, by the way. He's like 18, 19 years old. He lives at home, doesn't have a job. And they said, listen, we know where there's and this is a CI, we know where there's a drug house and there's $100,000 in cash there and a couple pounds of marijuana, whatever.
Everybody did it.
Right.
They did that to
this is reverse.
John Gordon.
John Gordon, yeah, but John Gordon shot the guy. So here's what happened.
Yeah.
The kid, so get the kid, he's on the couch, his buddies are telling him like, yeah, man, all we're going to do is we're going to drive up there, we're going to go kick in the door, get the money and leave. And the
guy's like, I work there, so you can actually rob me. You know what I'm saying? Tie me up. I mean,
this is in the drug house.
Yeah.
So he's like, so I'm the guy you'll be robbing, whatever. So the kid
bring
says,
a gun.
I don't remember that.
Saying that I'm the guy.
Right.
Well, there's two guys, and there's a couple guys. So the kid says, okay. He's like, listen though. Well, no, I think yours is wrong because one of the things they did to the kid was they said, we need you to bring a gun and an ID that says, a badge that says you're a cop. And he says, well, I don't know where I can get a gun or a badge. And he says, bro, he said, you got to get a gun and badge. He's like, okay, well, my grandfather has a gun. I can probably go to his house. He has a gun. So he gets the gun. He gets the gun from his grandfather. By the way, it's like a 1910 Colt revolver that doesn't have a pin. It doesn't work. Kid gets the gun. He's like, I got a gun. he's like, okay. He's like, I don't think it works. He's like, well, we don't need it to work because they don't need it. It could be plastic for all we care. They get in the car. He says, did you get the badge? The kid goes, I don't have a badge. And he says, it's okay. I brought one for you. He takes it, he clips it on his belt. They get to the fucking place. They go they jump out and they start heading to the door to kick the door in. And ATF, get on the ground, get on the ground, get on the ground. Do you know why they had him bring a gun?
So
it's an armed robbery.
It's an armed robbery. It's an enhancement. Why did they have him bring the badge? It's an enhancement. You get a minimum mandatory. So he ends up getting you can go to prison, you can go to trial and get yourself 20 years, or you can plead guilty and get 10. That's the case. And the gun doesn't even work, by the way. But that doesn't matter. They don't care about that. So the point is that that's the case that the guy actually like fought the case all the way to the Supreme Court and got the whole thing overturned, because they went from the first year they started doing it, it was 500 reverse stings. It went from 500 to like 1,500 to 3,500 to 8,500 in like 4 years. It went that because it was working so good.
Yep.
Yeah, setting people up works well. And so eventually they said, okay, we're going to reverse our, because we're being told that we're setting these guys up and it's entrapment.
In one case,
the
judge threw it out and the prosecutor lost it. Like you're
So
right, that was a huge problem.
What I'm saying is, do you understand what they were doing?
Is ruining kids' lives.
Right. Is entrapment.
Black kids.
It's entrapment.
You got good for you, bro. You got a 19-year-old kid who's never had a job, who lives at his and he's broke. Parents' house, broke, and you promised him he was going to get 1/3 of $100,000, and all he had to do was come with you with his broken gun. Like, wow, man, you
got him 10 years in prison.
Right. You got him 10 years. And 10 years in prison at $30,000, that's $300,000 for you to get this kid who's playing video games on his mom's couch off now his mom might have been like, okay, well, that's going to save me a little bit of money, on him going there. But she still got to go visit him the whole time and put money on his books. The point is that you're going to spend $300,000 to set up a kid that was never going to do a fucking thing. Yeah. And those dudes patted themselves.
He's not a 10-year criminal.
No, he's not a criminal at all. He's
right.
just some idiot.
Yeah.
You're patting he couldn't even fill out an application to get a job. You're patting yourself on the back. You were so proud of yourself.
He's a real criminal. We took one off the streets.
Right. And they were so proud of themselves.
They got rid of the
500 to 8,500 in 4 years.
They got rid of the entrap. The feds got rid of the entrap. I've helped about, when I was in jail for legal work, I helped about 5 people. And when they would tell me the story, I go, this is strangely familiar. Like all of them are identical to that. But a couple people I helped, there are situations where they actually shoot at those kids.
Oh yeah, that was John Gordon. He was the same thing. Let's rob the guy,
and they start shooting at him.
Yeah,
like they come in, they'll blast in with gunshots and everything, and start shooting at him. I know a guy named Kevin who said that when they were going to the spot, he hears the gunshots and he's about to grab his gun and he's looking around and they come out of nowhere. He's like, had I grabbed my gun, they were going to kill me.
What was it? What was it? The same thing with I think it was the same thing with the kid that lost his leg.
Yes. Yes, I remember his name. His name was
he only went because his brother asked him to drive.
And he said he didn't want to go. They killed his brother.
And blamed him.
Yes. They charged him with the murder. He got 30 years.
Wow.
Patting themselves on the back, bro. Just taking off good, clean people or good criminals off the street. We're doing the right thing.
They're saying these guys were predisposed. So they got rid of the
any broke person's predisposed to that fucking.
Yep. That's what one judge said. That's what judge. He goes, you're targeting broke people and promising them money, easy money. You're taking somebody. I'm fucking broke, and here you come.
Give you a risky plan.
Yeah, for easy money, and you're telling me it's easy,
and hitting,
and I'm walking right in. Yeah, and I'm walking right into a trap.
My favorite is the drug deal where they say, "Hey, I'm going to sell you a bag here. I got you on. You're on wire. You're done. I just sold it to you. You just committed a felony. Why didn't I arrest you? No, we want to get a few more buys. We get another one, another felony." Another felony. Have we hit the mandatory minimum yet? Yes, we do. Now we arrest you because before you could have got probation, but now you get 5 years. Yeah,
That's the same. You know what's so funny
The
about
prisons,
those?
half the prison population can be reduced, and you haven't done a fucking thing to harm society at all. Really, just probably helping to correct some injustice. Really,
I was in a dormitory with a gentleman, an older black guy, and he told me, he said, young man, that was back when I was young. He said, young man, I shit you not, I am here for $20 rock. Got 5 years. They sentenced him to 5 years. And all of his, you could tell the type of person, he's smoker, this and that. Not this career rock seller or whatever. $20 worth of powder. Because it was rock.
yeah.
5 years.
How much money are they going to spend on 5 years? And that's the state. So the state, is it state? The state is about 20,000 per person. The feds is about 32. State is 20. Here's the thing. So for 5 years, they're going to spend $100,000 to keep a fucking dude locked up for $20, and they're going to tell themselves that that's okay.
But here's the flip side of that coin, though. The recidivism. Thank you.
It's a tough one.
That is so high. So, like, as me, Johnny, I'm just playing the devil's advocate. As me, Johnny, citizen, I obviously don't want criminals, while I'm going to the store. So, like, guys that have this premise of being tough on crime and all that, that's why they get elected.
No, because it's a selling point, bro. It's a
selling point. Let's be tough on,
right? It's not harming anybody. I mean, it's not.
They would say it is because the criminals, the guys that we've proven that commit crimes, they're getting out, they're going to jail, and they get back out and they do the same stuff again fast. They get out and jump to the crime.
Right. So put him in a drug rehab and give him a job. And if he still fucks up, then make it reasonable for him to be able to buy it, where he can work at a labor place and buy it, and he can smoke as much as he wants. We're not going to keep throwing these guys in jail. It's a waste of resources.
But playing the devil's advocate again, get him out, put him in a rehab, doing such and such and such. So now they may be thinking, I'm spending a lot of rehab. It costs money. These programs take employees and putting all these guys on ankle monitors and stuff. Well, if you look at the data, ankle monitor just doesn't work.
I disagree.
No, I was just on it, so right. I'm going to tell you that there was a room full of people that did not make it, won't make it. The small percentage of Matt Coxes out there that go to prison, develop a plan, and become so locked in that I'm going to change because I don't like this, I don't want anymore. The percentage of those people is very small.
Right, but the alternative isn't to give up on them and throw them in prison for the rest of their life. The
alternative is to keep spending more money to try to rehabilitate them.
Yeah, no, I agree, because by the way, it's not more money, because if it's in the state, if it's $20,000 over the course of 5 years, that's $100,000. If this guy was on the street, I could spend $50,000 and you can educate him in something to do where he can make a living. And then if he wants to keep using drugs, he can keep using drugs. That's fine, because the drugs are reasonably priced and they're safe. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to make him a financial manager while he's also doing crack, or should I say rock? So while he's doing rock, I'm not going to say you're a rockhead. You're my rockhead financial planner, although that'd be a great, rockhead finance. Rockhead finance.
RHF.
I saved you money you didn't even know you had.
But where he can work in a manufacturing job. He can work in something in a labor job. He can drywall. He can paint. He can do something like that. And then, by the way, those jobs, there's tons of those guys. Like, I'd probably say 50-60% of those labor forces have guys that are professional alcoholics or professional addicts, even if it's only cigarettes or something, right. Alcohol, some kind of drugs. And they do great work. So I'm saying what's not an alternative, and what's not the solution is he goes to jail for 5 years here, and then he gets out, and 2 years later he gets another 7 years, and 2 years later he gets another 2 years, and 2 years later he gets 8 years. Like, that's not the solution. It costs a drug rehab. You could say, hey, Man, that's a nice drug rehab. They put a lot of effort in that, and they really, really did a bunch of stuff in that. That was an expensive drug rehab. You're right. It was an expensive drug rehab. It cost $10,000 for him to be there for a month. It didn't cost 20. It didn't cost 30. It damn sure didn't cost 100,000. And you know what happens? Maybe it fixes him. Maybe.
To your point.
Straight life is very, very, very difficult.
To your point. So
society is, especially with prices.
I did the drug rehab thing as an alternative to incarceration. And it was an 18-month program. They had the horses out there. Like, it was a very nice program. We got the bus to work and everything. And I got to sit firsthand with drug addicts, and like my eyes were open to their perspective of stuff. Like, I met a guy who would steal his mother's clothes.
Wow.
And bring it to Play It Again, Play-Doh closet.
Yeah, Play-Doh's closet. Wow.
And what they wouldn't buy.
Well, I'm sure it wasn't clothes she wore.
No. It was clothes she wore. It was because he had run out of stuff stealing in the house. So he would steal what he could, and what they wouldn't buy at Play-Doh, he would just walk out the front door and drop it. Because I've gotten everything. Where else am I not going to bring it back home? So I got to sit around people with that mindset, and I watched them change, right? And I learned a lot about myself in that situation. I just put, instead of rock, but money, filled in that blank, and there was a lot of addictive personalities that I have.
Right.
Mind you, all of that is well and good when you're in these rehabilitation centers. You're not drug dependent. You've got all the synapses snapping and clicking. The minute you get out, what resources are available, for one? For two, you have to have someone with the correct mindset. You can't rehabilitate what's in here. So when you're out and free and you don't have to go to bed because they turn the lights off at 8, and now you're free and clear and you have to get on the bus and go, that's a different thing. That's a different beast. And it's hard for people to make that change up here. I had to walk to pay setters, to day labor, because I didn't have, and walk home. But I was committed to not going back again.
So you think that every single person that went to that place got out and immediately got back on drugs?
I would say, from my experience, 98%.
98?
98.
2 out of 100, you think, didn't go back? Because I believe, like, some people got family that would, damn. Well, hey, that's his view.
And I say that confidently, like, because I knew people there. Even when I did the drug thing at Falkenberg, and they had the in-house drug treatment. So I ran into a lot of those people, and I ran into the people that knew other people, and the stories are all the same. Man, what's his name back? One thing got shot. Or I'm riding my bike, I'll pull up at a gas station, and guess who I see? The other what's her name? And he's asking for $1.
Right.
Or $3. It's hard. Like, the rehabilitation thing sounds fantastic. Help the homeless, all that stuff sounds, but it's absolutely the person.
Let's assume it's 2%. Okay? If we break out pen and pencil right now and take those 100 people that we're going to get 5 years at $20,000 in the state apiece, and 2% of them, every one of them that goes into the drug rehab, continually gets better and better and better. In the end, it's still a better solution to send them to rehabs than it is to lock them up for 5 years. First of all, the 5 years is just their first prison sentence. They're going to keep going back and come back. So let's say 2% get better every single time. The drug rehab doesn't cost but $10,000 for 10 or 60 or for 30 to 60 days.
That drug rehab is way more expensive than they wanted out of my insurance. Phoenix House wanted for the 18 months.
These people don't have insurance. I'm talking about a state-run facility, not something that's appointed by the judge and your. Yeah, I'm talking about.
I've been to that one too.
And you think that one cost how much? The state-run one? What's the state
I don't
charging?
know.
They're not charging $20,000 or $30,000 for 30 days. They're not charging that. And it doesn't matter anyway, because remember, it was a 5-year prison sentence. It was $100,000. You're talking about $100,000 versus what? Where if they pay $20,000? 30 for 60 days.
I'm talking to.
See what I'm saying? And 2% keep repeating. In the end, I think that drug, and some people are just never going to change. They're not going to change, but they'll just keep going back and going back and going back. You know?
I'm talking to a friend of mine that gets out in, I think, April, and very addicted to meth and has not taken any drug rehabilitation. So I was asking today, I'm like, I talked to him on the phone over here. I'm like, what about your addiction? He's like, well, I've been without it for 8 years. And so I just have to not want to go around that. And I want to get around my family. What do you think his chances are?
0.
He said he hasn't even had the urges anymore.
Because he's there. Like, and everything.
He said, they're like, I could have got high when I was here, but I've been turning it down.
That's different. That's different. Like, I could have got high because his homeboy might have spent $20
on some pills there.
You think so you think the longer that the person has been addicted to a drug, the more chance they go back to it?
Not the length of time. It's absolutely the person.
Well, he's saying that he's done.
Associate, it's not only physically addictive. Like, it's like when I'm bored and I got nothing to do, that mind goes to toiling on all the old stuff. Or when I go to hang out and I'm with a chick and everything, those feelings come up. I'm with a chick, I usually smoke some meth. Right. The sex is different because I associate good sex or good hanging out with the drug. So that's what now chilling, sitting in P dorm, there's no real urges. The real urges come when he's got 20 bucks. Because he had me convinced. He had me convinced this morning.
Listen.
No.
Zero chance.
Listen I wouldn't say zero chance, but what I'll say is this. If he doesn't believe himself that, like, that stuff is not even an option.
That's what they say.
I mean, it's just not, it's filthy. It's like you have to change your whole.
So what is the percentage? What's the likelihood that I walked into a halfway house that had 100 people in it? I sat down with a chick, started flirting with her, ended up with her, married her, and she's a long-term drug addict, meth, and that I just happened to pick one of the 2% that doesn't reoffend as far as going right back to meth, because I don't think that it's 2%. Because the likelihood that I walked in there, sat with that person, and ended up with that person, because guess what? Everybody there had gone to drugs. Almost everybody there was probably for drugs. I'd say 70% of people.
Birds of a feather.
But
you were attracted to something that.
Or maybe the percentage is a little higher. Maybe it's a little higher.
Okay,
what was her perception of the meth? I mean, was she committed to not
selling meth? If she's been smoking ice, she was 11 years old.
Yeah, but was she committed to getting off of it when she was there? Was her commitment like, I'm never doing meth again?
She's been committed to getting off meth many, many times. She's gotten off for 6 months. She's gotten off for 9 months. Every time she ever found out she was pregnant, immediately stopped doing it. And then she would have the baby, and then 6 months later, a year later, boom, she start up again. Bam, she start up again. Boom, she start. The guy she date, this guy, he does meth. They start up again.
Well, that's a trigger,
right?
If the guy you're dating does meth,
and but it's exactly how it's up to rehabilitation after rehabilitation.
Did she take rehab
they say all the
in
same.
prison?
She did do RDAP.
But life is different for that person,
right?
Like they're with someone that supports them. The journey becomes different.
Yeah, she didn't have anybody to support, but I hear what you're saying,
especially her family. But I think RDAP is a huge. He doesn't. What? I think RDAP is a huge help.
What are you talking about? How many times have I said RDAP? I think every person. I don't think you should be able to get out of prison until you take an RDAP style program. That's how good I think RDAP is.
What?
Absolutely.
Wait, where's Matt? Matt,
no, you've never heard me say that.
What have you done with?
You've never heard me say that. I promise you.
What about your book, Matt?
My book mocks it. It doesn't mean that it doesn't work. I think it's a great program. I mock the people. How many idiots? The people running the program, half of them are psychos.
Yeah.
So
but I also think
I agree with that.
The people what RDAP is.
Oh, it's a residential drug treatment program inside of prison where for 9 months you go in. You go into
RDAP is drug and alcohol treatment. Go ahead.
You go into.
Thanks for that.
You go into a special housing unit where every day you program several hours a day. I mean, everybody in the program everybody in that unit is programming. So they're all RDAP.
I've been around that type of thing.
So it's 9 months of behavior modification. 9 months. They're not fucking around, bro.
No,
let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. And you're lucky because I'd say 10% get kicked out. Maybe 25% get rephased, where you have to go back and do another 3 months. I knew one guy who was like, he got rephased and he was like, man, it looks like another 3 months. Because, they do it in phases, right? So something you go back and there's like 3 phases. He's like, yep, looks like I'm going to go back. But one of the first things you learn is to take responsibility. Well, when he went into his team meeting and they were talking to him about his victims, he was like, what victims? I did Medicaid scams. He's like, I don't have any victims. And so you're not taking responsibility for your actions. So he got rephased back to the beginning.
Ooh.
9.
I've seen
or maybe
that.
it was 6. Maybe it was 6 months. He might have gone to 6.
The program's 9 months, but I've seen
right.
that.
But he might have gone all the way back.
But you're losing him. So
right. I'm sorry, but yeah, it's super, super intense.
You're in a unit where you're living with someone.
Yeah, I like that.
And the accountability also comes with confrontation, to where every morning you get up, you have a meeting, and they give you all of these designs. They put names on different modes of thinking, you know what I'm saying, to kind of help you conceptualize what you might be doing and going through. And they also do this thing where I'm supposed to hold you accountable, where I'll stand up and I'll say, I'd like to address Cyx for, I like to help Cyx. And you'd stand up and I go, Cyx, I noticed you were doing this wrong and this wrong. And I'm telling you that in front of the whole group. So it's a little humiliating and embarrassing. And they put you on the spot, and then you have to accept what I'm saying and process it. That is a very difficult thing for a lot of people. Especially, and I'm gonna tell you something. Like this morning, when we were talking to her about her cray cray, Jess. Like, if you notice, she didn't dispute it. Whereas most people's normal reaction when I'm saying something about you, about them, is to argue that it's not true. She didn't dispute it. She just kind of says, well, it's a nice crate. It's like you accept. And I believe that that's one of the things that RDAP helps you. It helps you in dealing in situations and being able to be reflective and see yourself how other people see you.
I believe that.
Well, I mean, the other it helps you deal with stress, things that are triggers to move to. It helps you deal with stress. It helps you. It's a behavior modification program.
Yes,
you have to work through books. It
teaches you, what is that? Critical thinking.
That's absolutely, like, that's 90%. That's the biggest problem, is to be able to think through. Most people are reactionary. They don't think through all the steps. They react immediately, and then when suddenly they're in handcuffs, they're like, oh my God, what happened? Didn't you know this was happening? You attacked the guy. Yeah, but he said that. It's irrelevant what he said. Yeah. You had to know that the end result by attacking him was you were going to end up in handcuffs. So, it teaches you to make those, what I realize a normal person does instinctively. They don't attack somebody else immediately. Yep. They think through, like, oh, I'm pissed and I'd like to fucking slap this fucking
kill
dude.
Him.
Right. But you know what's going to happen? I'm going to do that. I may get away with it now. He'll call the police. That guy called police. I'm going to end up, the cops are going to show up. They already have my name. I'm going to end up in prison.
Well, I think before that, they'll say, it's not worth me murdering this guy or assaulting him.
Right. But
because I'm angry.
Did I ever tell you
more like more like going to prison. I'd be okay with cracking a few people.
About a month and a half ago, I was in, and if you guys know me, I'm absolutely non-violent, the most laid-back person. Did I tell you a month and a half ago, I was in Costco, and I'm in line. Did I tell you that story?
We had it on the last podcast.
The Costco incident?
Yeah. And with Boziak. Are we wanting to get 2 episodes today?
Yes. Sorry.
So we might need to wrap this one up
and
start a new one.
All right.
Because
right in the middle of my story.
I told Boziak you told that when it was all 4 of you guys. And
when the guy hit me with the buggy.
Guy in a thing, and he told you to move or something, right?
And he hit, like he bumped me and he hit me, and I looked at him and he goes, move.
Yeah.
And the first thing I thought was, I wouldn't get a bond. That was my first. It's like, I wouldn't get a bond So I would have to sit in jail. That's exactly because I was about to turn that cart over. And that was my first thought is like, you won't get a bond. So I moved.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys, I appreciate you watching. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button so you get notified of videos like this. Also, do me a favor and go to Cyx's YouTube channel. We're going to put the description in the... we're going to put the description. We're going to put the link in the description box. So you just click on it, go straight over there and subscribe to his channel. Also, please go in the description box and click on the link for Zach's channel. Zach is going to start maybe. He's going to start putting out some content. He says he's going to do one a week. We'll see. He's going to do one a week. Cyx is already doing one a week. So check out their channel, subscribe. Really appreciate you guys watching. Also, please consider joining our Patreon. We put Patreon exclusive content. As a matter of fact, there's probably 20, 30 minutes of a conversation that we had here that will go on Patreon. Plus, we have uncensored versions of these podcasts on Patreon. So once again, I really appreciate you guys watching. Thank you very much. See ya.